5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hello and welcome to the Get Healthy Talladega County show. I'm Lori Corley, the network director of our coalition. This week we have great guests. It's been a big week for our Sylacauga City School System, and we have guests from there talking about the governor's visit and the pre-K program that we have in our schools at Indian Valley. Additionally, we'll have Nancy Dixon from our Senior Behavioral Health Unit at Coosa Valley Medical Center talking about Alzheimer's and dementia. Our coalition is a wonderful group of partners who are working to improve the health and wellness of all residents of Talladega County, and includes both of our hospitals, Citizens, and our Coosa Valley Medical Center, as well as all of our three school systems, Talladega City, Talladega County, and Sylacauga City Schools, as well as our Chehaw Mental Health Centers, and an array of other partners who help us greatly to improve the health and wellness of people in Talladega County. We're really looking forward to the show today. We thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back after this break.
Beating the train? It's a deadly game.
Come on, dude. You can beat it.
Always stop at crossings. Never drive around gates or flashing lights.
What's the matter, you chicken?
It's not only illegal, it'll get you killed.
Buck, buck, buck.
Remember, the train always wins. So let it. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Is celebrating the #1 for everyone sales event all month long.
See why 2015 was a record-breaking year for us at Toyota of Sylacauga, and why 2016 will be even better. We provide transparent pricing, great service, and a no-pressure buying experience. We offer all new 2016 RAV4s, Corollas, and Camry with big discounts plus 0% financing.
It's the #1 for everyone sales event at Toyota of Sylacauga. Check us out online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com. Get ready to smile.
Camping World would like to introduce you to a whole new world. Say hello to a fresh day. Step out to adventure. Explore and discover an amazing world. Be in arm's reach of wonderful. Camping World, the #1 RV and camping expert, wants you to say hello to a whole new world.
Say hello to great deals during the RV sales event. Visit your local Camping World today.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
Hello and welcome back to Get Healthy Talladega County. I'm Lori Corley, the network director. And today we have with us two great guests from Sylacauga City Schools. We have the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, Jennifer Rosado, and also our pre-K teacher from Indian Valley Elementary School, Amy Reeves. And we're really proud to have our guests with us this morning to talk about the governor's visit, and the Secretary of the Department of Early Childhood Education was here in Sylacauga this week. So we want to hear about your work and all the exciting things that are going on in our pre-K classrooms. And our program here really is about body, mind, and spirit. And I think that's something that you all probably think about every day, all three of those components in your pre-K program. So tell us a little bit about what pre-K means and what it looks like now, as it may have been different from years and years ago when we were in school.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, a few years ago, our preschool program, we were limited in the number of students that we could, participate in our program, and we had this big dream. We were like, we want as many kids as we can and be able to serve them, because we realize how important it is to have that early childhood experience. And so, we started with a couple of classrooms and expanded to another, and then last year we were able to get the grant. And it's a different experience from what we've even implemented a few years ago. But Amy was gracious enough to say, I want the grant classroom, because it comes with a lot of guidelines and stipulations, but it offers us a lot of financial support. So we were able to put in a new preschool playground, and the governor and the secretary got to see that the other day. That was exciting. We just finished our playground not long ago, and it's a great place for the kids to play. And that's one of the requirements of the program is actually the physical part of the program.
You said the grant classroom. Is there one grant classroom and then two others, and how is that funded?
Yes. Well, the state doesn't give us any funds for preschool for school system. So what we have to do is, if we decide we want to implement a preschool program, then we have to use our own funds. So whether we use our state allocated units that are, committed to those K2 classrooms, or we use local funds. And so, that's the reason why schools don't implement those, because we don't get the fund.
Right.
And so it's great that we're offered these grant opportunities in order to grow our preschool experiences.
Wonderful.
So the other two are not funded by the grant, but we're hoping to get another one, especially after the governor came to visit.
Yes. So I'm sure you're using the measures from the grant in all three of the classrooms, but maybe just reporting on those in the one classroom. So what are, Amy, some of the goals that you're trying to achieve in pre-K in your classroom?
Well, as Jennifer said, it is a lot of guidelines, but it's absolutely amazing how child-centered these guidelines are. So as big as the burden may be to really try to follow these with fidelity, the rewards just outweigh that tremendously. It's really set up to learn through play. In my classroom, you walk in and you will see children everywhere. Little minds, little hands busy at work. The classroom is set up in various centers. When you walk in, you won't see a traditional table for the children to sit at and color worksheets. Instead, you'll see a reading center, a listening center, a computer center, a block area, a science area, a writing area, art area, math and manipulatives, and dramatic play. So there's a lot of opportunities for the children to learn in the way that suits them best. And at every center with the guidelines, I have literature available for the children. There are clipboards and various writing utensils, even at the block center, so they can draw a picture or label the building that they've made. And we just try to encourage them to, learn everywhere. And we have 38 objectives that we follow that are our standards. And what's great about those is one piece of it is literacy, letters, rhyming, and things like that. And one piece of it are the math standards. But then there's also social emotional. There's gross and fine motor. There is the creative arts. There's, science. It really looks at the child as a whole. And it's different from anything that I've ever done in the classroom, but I've never been more in love with what I'm doing in the classroom, because I'm really looking at the whole child and what makes them learn and helping them to grow in all of those areas. In education today, it's so data driven, and it's so reading and math, know your letters, know your numbers, and not that that's not important, but we lose sight of the whole child and what might be going on with that child. And maybe that child knows every letter and number, but that child may need to focus on working with others and, learning team building or gaining confidence in solving problems on their own. And so that's what I think is really neat about this grant, that it really has pushed me to look at the whole child and teach the whole child.
Yeah, and I think that really matches with what we're trying to do in our coalition, the body, mind, and spirit.
Absolutely,
and
yes.
that cooperation and collaboration, learning those skills in pre-K will continue with you throughout your life. And if you play well in that sandbox when you're little, will you play well when you're older?
Absolutely.
And we have people who play really well in Talladega County. Tell me a little bit about the dramatic arts that you were talking about. Is that puppetry? What are you doing with those?
Well, in dramatic play, standard, usually we have various dress-up items. There's a kitchen area with various foods, baby dolls, a doctor kit, and in the grant it specifies these certain items need to be in that area at all times. It is really play with a purpose. It's not just dumping a bunch of things in there and say, go at it. Every item in that center has a purpose. And then we also, when I'm doing a theme in my classroom, we just came off a space unit. And I reached out to fellow teachers, and I got a lot of great things in there, but we had an astronaut's costume, and I had, a little rocket over there and posters of space. And so we kind of will add props to support our theme. I have puppets in my reading area where they can act out stories and retell stories over there as well.
Wonderful. Now, Jennifer, in these grants, are you all applying for those through the city school system? And how does that work? Do you define specific things that you want to achieve and then go look for those grants? Or how do you do that? What's the process on that?
Well, we had a visit the prior year to getting the grant. We had a visit from the Department of Early Childhood Affairs. And, we contemplated, do we go ahead and jump in and try the grant, or do we, implement it ourselves and then move forward? So it was one of those decisions you're like, okay, we really need the funding. And we, we knew what we were getting into, and we knew what benefits we would have for our students. So, we applied and we said, we'll start off, do one. And so we're applying again, and actually the grant's coming up for renewal at the end of this week. And so we're applying for a new one, and again, it certainly helped that the governor came to visit our classroom.
Yeah, and we're showing some footage throughout our conversation about his visit. But what were you talking about with him, and what was he interested in learning about what's going on in Sylacauga City Schools?
Yeah, sure. When he came in my room, he was interested in the children.
Yes.
And it was, it was deliberate about the time that he came in. Part of the grant, we have a choice time. And for 70 minutes, these children are in charge of their learning. It's their time, and they go to the centers, that I described earlier, and it's their right to choose their center. It's their right to stay there as long as they want to. And I have a certain amount of children that can be in that center, and they've learned through our process how to do that. But as soon as he came in the door, he was interested in the children. He spoke to every child in the room and talked to them about what they were doing at their centers. And to the children, it was really funny. He was just another guy. And with the grant, they're so used to people coming in our classroom. They looked up for a minute when everybody came in because the number of people coming in. But once once that initial, there's a lot of people, I'm going back to what I want to do. But he spoke to every child and just really made time to connect with them, and that was a beautiful thing to watch.
That's wonderful that they're taking that time to come out and see what's going on. I see a lot of pieces of equipment in your room, Amy, and a lot of things that get moved around. And how many children are in your class?
At the current moment, I have 16 children. And I have what we call 2 waivers because the grant wants 18 children in your classroom just to get an optimal amount. And waivers are put in place for various reasons. And so right now we have 16 busy friends in our room.
And in you have 3 pre-K classes now.
Correct.
How many are in your pre-K program?
We have about 46 children right now.
And this is totally voluntary.
Right. And prior to the preschool program the past 2 years, we had done just a combination where parents could pay tuition, but then we decided, you know, because of the need for those early childhood experiences and having kids ready for kindergarten, we needed to make it free for children. And so we were like, how can we offer this to parents of 4-year-olds and get them ready and get them, you know, in the school ready for kindergarten and offer that experience to them. So, you know, we decided it needed to be free. And so, of course, that's appealing as a parent.
Yes.
You know, if you've been paying daycare, it's appealing to have that. Now, you know, our hours are not what a daycare would be,
right,
because it's limited to the school day, but it gets them in the building, gets them that experience, and getting them ready for that kindergarten year.
So we all read about brain development and how most of our brain development happens in those really early years. And Jennifer, in your expertise, tell us about what we need to be looking for as parents or grandparents, and how we need to be engaging the children even at home before they are able to come to pre-K or go to daycare, to develop those brains and inquiring minds.
Well, inquiring minds is a good word,
Yeah.
or a good phrase. Just talking to them about everything, explaining, you know, they ask those why questions a lot when they're little, and it's just not just giving them a basic answer, but explaining things so that they ask more why questions. Well, why is this that way, or why is this that color? And just again, language, as much language as you can. And reading is always important. Sitting down with your child and reading is so important. You know, it's not that they have to come into kindergarten, you know, already reading, but enjoying listening and just exposed to that vocabulary that they're going to get through listening to someone read to them. That's so important, so important.
Yes. Well, I think right now we're going to go to break, and we're going to hear a little bit of music from Miss Brooks' classroom as the children are singing, so we'll be right back.
The greatest threat to law enforcement isn't criminals, it's drivers. Roadside crashes are the #1 cause of death for police and state troopers. And not just them. Tow truck drivers, maintenance workers, risking their lives every day. Alabama's Move Over law requires you to safely move over when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't move over, slow down. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Toyota of Sylacauga is celebrating the #1 for everyone sales event all month long.
See why 2015 was a record-breaking year for us at Toyota of Sylacauga, and why 2016 will be even better. Right now, take your choice. Get a giant $3,500 off on 2016 Toyota Corolla, or $3,500 off the 2016 Toyota RAV4.
It's the #1 for everyone sales event at Toyota of Sylacauga. Check us out online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com. Get ready to smile.
Camping World, the #1 RV and camping expert, would like to introduce you to a whole new world. Say hello to new thrills. Get to know your crew. Moments become great memories. Take a new look. Enjoy freedom. Discover amazing. Say hello to a whole new world. Visit campingworld.com.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
One small boy, Jack Hartman. Jack Hartman.
Jack Hartman. Write that down.
Jack Hartman.
No, one small boy.
One small boy.
Jake, write that. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. Put your hands down.
And
everybody smile. Everybody look over here. So funny. Hey, this is a great class, and y'all have.
So today we're visiting with Jennifer Rosado and Amy Brooks from Indian Valley Elementary School, and they had the governor visit this week. And so, Amy, tell us, you were using a lot of music I saw before, and that touches my heart because I was a music therapist in my previous career, and I just see how that is a whole brain activity for children. Absolutely. And the movement that you're doing in the sign, and I think that that's just so important for parents to learn, to know also that singing and doing those activities can be great learning opportunities for their children.
Absolutely. There's oftentimes when I'll ask a child maybe about a letter or a number, and when I just ask them, they might look at me just for a minute, and I'll take it back to one of our songs, you know, like A says, and then they'll alligator, like one of our songs. It just really helps them have something to connect it to, and they're moving while they're doing it, you know, which helps them process it as well. And with 4-year-olds, downtime is not your friend, so you always want to have, you know, something going and a way to keep them moving and keep them busy, and we have a good time with singing. We do. Yeah.
So the governor visited Indian Valley, and then you all had, I think I had conversation with him about what your one pre-K program looked like that was funded by the grant, and your others, and you just want to get as much funding as you can for pre-K programs here and bring those. So you're writing another grant.
Yes.
And is that for one classroom? Is that all you can do in the grant process?
Well, we thought we you know, of course we want more.
Sure.
But there's other, you know, because the grant can be, you can fund a community-based classroom, you can fund a Head Start classroom. So the grants are offered to various entities throughout the state. So we didn't want to be greedy as a school system. Yeah. So I said just one more this year. But I do want to point out, and I did to the governor as well, not only do you get the funding, but you get coaching support and monitoring support through the Department of Early Childhood Affairs. And that's been a very important piece because my time is limited with Amy, and although she's great, but they offer a wealth of support. They come into the classroom and make sure that everything's going smoothly, and
yes,
it's just been phenomenal.
Yes, I've grown and learned a lot, and you know, a lot of these guidelines that they're asking you to do, you know, how can I make this happen? What does this look like? And they're always there to offer support. And they're also there, you know, to monitor you, to make sure that you are using these funds appropriately and keeping it child-centered the way they intended it to be, because they take this very seriously as well. And if they're funding you, they want you to make sure that you are doing what's best for the children. But yes, a lot of support is offered.
Yes.
And that's great because then the children get to see you being a lifelong learner as well, and learning new things and trying new things that, you know, you may not have done last year, but you can do it this year. And just getting ideas, I think, from across the state would be invaluable in that grant program. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you have something
I just had another thing I wanted to share about the grant, is that the parent involvement that they want to see. And so there's levels of parent involvement that the parents have to commit to as well. So, you know, it's not just drop your children off and you know, you're done with that learning of that child. So that's a requirement too of the grant, and I think that's a great piece, is getting the parents involved early.
And I see Mr. Abner walking around and other people in the school who are there, and I'm sure that was a change having younger children in the school. How long have you had pre-K there at Indian Valley?
Oh, since I've been here.
Okay.
I've been here 8 years, and,
Okay.
and preschool was already in place. And I came in as the special education coordinator, and
Okay.
as part of that, we're required to serve children at age 3 that
Right.
have disabilities. And so we implemented that inclusive preschool program a long time ago, and that's when we were offering the tuition so that we could have typical peers in there with our children with special needs, and offer, preschool to parents, but then a typical peer model for our children with disabilities.
Well, I can see that this is a great program that's really working well at Indian Valley. Also, another big event you all had this week was the opening of the new school board office right across the street here. So you had a lot of people there, and
we did.
What all happened?
Well, they got to tour the building, and it's so nice. We're just so proud of the building, and it's so nice to see it on Main Street, and to be what people see when they first come into town. But we had a lot of retired teachers. It's amazing the number of people that came through and said they had worked in that building at one time or another. So they like to see the difference that the renovations have made. So it's very nice, and it's very open space downstairs, so that we can have board meetings and other events in the community we can host there at the central office. But nice location, but a nice building.
Yes, and our Sylacauga white marble out on the building. What a wonderful piece of history there as well. What else is coming up, Amy, in the next year? What do you hope to see in your classroom, maybe that you would like to improve, or something that you're planning to change? Anything, or just getting new friends?
Yes, new friends, and just absolutely to just see this program grow. And I'm very anxious to see how my friends do next year in kindergarten. As a teacher, like I said before, things are so data driven, and sit down and the worksheets and things, and in my classroom there's no worksheets or a guided handwriting. It's learned through play. We do a lot of writing, but it's their way. And so that can be a little nerve-wracking on the inside. Are they going to be ready? Are they going to be ready? But then every time I get nervous, a child will come up, or I'm playing with a child, and they will just have this moment and share all this knowledge, and I'm just like, wow, thank you, Lord. And I know that maybe every child might not know every letter, but I really feel like they will be ready when they walk in the doors of kindergarten to take in whatever that teacher is presenting to them, because of their growth in all the areas, the social development and the working with peers, and even the simple tasks that we take for granted in kindergarten that children have to learn: walking in line, unpacking their backpack, being responsible for their school supplies, knowing how to transition in between activities, and knowing how to work independently at centers. That's a big part of learning now. It's a lot more small group activities, and the teacher and the child, especially for the teacher, they need the child to be able to work independently, and the child needs to know how to do that as well. So I'm excited to see how they do next year.
So the grant, this is the second year of the grant?
This is the first year.
First year.
Yes.
So this will be really your metric for the next class.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, wow.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Well, from everything we've seen today, and all the work you all are doing, we sincerely thank you for being part of our Get Healthy Talladega County Coalition and our school systems. And so much of what you do is perfectly aligned with us, and keeping those bright minds healthy, well, and leading them to being wise. So we really appreciate your being here and all of your hard work. We're going to take a break. We'll come right back and talk about the other end of the spectrum with older adults. So we'll see you right back.
Looking group here. How y'all doing? Good. What grade are y'all in? Second. All of you second grade? Yes, sir. All right. Well, y'all are a fine looking group.
Thank you.
I was going to challenge. All right. What are they just greeting me?
Well, they're just greeting you, but two of these young people are going to give you the tour today. Where we're going. Who are my two? Come on forward. Introduce yourselves to them.
My name is Casey Malone.
What did you
My
say?
name is Casey Malone.
Casey Malone?
Call me Casey.
Can I call you Casey? All right, I'll call you Casey. What, Maddie? Maddie Pope. All right. Good to meet you, Maddie.
Tell them who you are. We're Abby Ambassadors.
We're Abby Ambassadors. Welcome to Eden Valley.
Hey, that's great.
Beating the train? It's a deadly game.
Come on, dude. You can beat it.
Always stop at crossings. Never drive around gates or flashing lights.
What's the matter, you chicken?
It's not only illegal, it'll get you killed. Remember, the train always wins. So let it. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Toyota of Sylacauga is celebrating the #1 for everyone sales event all month long.
See why 2015 was a record-breaking year for us at Toyota of Sylacauga and why 2016 will be even better. We provide transparent pricing, great service, and a no-pressure buying experience. We offer all new 2016 RAV4s, Corollas, and Camry with big discounts plus 0% financing.
It's the #1 for everyone sales event at Toyota of Sylacauga. Check us out online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com. Get ready to smile.
Camping World would like to introduce you to a whole new world. Say hello to a fresh day. Step out to adventure. Explore and discover an amazing world. Be in arm's reach of wonderful. Camping World, the #1 RV and camping expert, wants you to say hello to a whole new world.
Say hello to great deals during the RV sales event. Visit your local Camping World today.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
Welcome back to the Get Healthy Talladega County Show. I'm Lori Corley, the Network Director, and I have my counterpart here with me, Jim Green, has joined us for this segment, as well as Nancy Dixon from from Coosa Valley Medical Center, and she is the Community Education Coordinator for our Senior Behavioral Health Unit there. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about Alzheimer's and dementia, Jim.
That's why they brought me in, because I'm old, I guess.
No, but you have a unique perspective on this.
Well, I do. My mother had dementia, and of course I had to help care for her. Being an only child, I had to help care for her the last years of her life. And that is of course, there's a lot of things available now. Mother passed away in '88. There are a lot of things available now that weren't available back then. There are medications to slow the progression of dementia. There are improvements in the way people are cared for, and I guess that's what we have Nancy here today for.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for having me here today so that we can talk about dementia and talk about the resources available in our own community at Coosa Valley.
Yeah. Well, tell us just generally, what is dementia? And Alzheimer's disease is one of those categories.
Right. Dementia, we like to explain dementia as the big category, like cancer is the big category. And then there's different types of underneath that big category. So you might have an Alzheimer's type or a vascular type, Lewy bodies, Huntington's, Parkinson's. There's just numbers of types of dementia. So, but Alzheimer's is the most common, and I think that's what we'll focus more on today is the Alzheimer's type. But dementia itself is a series of symptoms, and it's caused by brain disease or injury. And so it affects the mental processes and behavior and personality, and it can affect your judgment, and of course memory lapses as well.
Of course, in the news, one of the big aspects that we have seen lately it deals with football players and what is resulting from all of the concussions. And you mentioned injury a moment ago. I'm assuming that would fit into that category where they have those symptoms of dementia that come about because of the concussions, or apparently from the concussions.
Yeah, your brain, it just is central to everything. And if your brain gets hit repeatedly, depending on where it will affect different parts of your brain where you get hit. So that affects different parts of your brain.
People think of dementia as only for really old people, but that's not true. We, among your in-laws and I, we have a friend who developed it rather early, and I have someone I was acquainted with that developed a form of dementia, Pick's disease, in his 50s, and that's really early, and it covers a much broader range than we normally. It's not just the old folks anymore.
It's not. We're seeing, you see younger individuals getting dementia due to alcoholism and meth and drug addiction. You see that. You do have early onset of dementia. We've had, typically the patients on our unit are going to be in their 70s and 80s, over 65. But we've had people in our unit that are 55, 56, 57 in late stages of Alzheimer's. So the typical, span is a lifespan or disease process is going to be 8 years or so, but you have people living with Alzheimer's now 20 years. But it's the only disease in the top 10 that there's no cure, there's no prevention, and what the doctors, what the psychiatrists do are try to manage the behaviors that come along with it. So it's a very difficult.
So what are some of the early signs that people can be aware of in dementia and Alzheimer's disease?
There are, there's, depending on what you look at, there's 3 stages, or you can, break it out into 7 stages. But some of the early stages of Alzheimer's would be some forgetfulness. I don't mean that I forgot my keys, but it might be that I forgot how to get to the grocery store. Those would be some things to look at. Maybe some isolation. I've got some warning signs, matter of fact, and some things that are, it's just memory loss that affects just your daily living. That would be one of them, like I mentioned, forgetting how to get to the grocery store or to your doctor. Another, just in solving problems, some things that managing your checkbook.
Right.
You see a lot of our seniors, they get, everything that comes in the mail, all of a sudden they're paying for all the sweepstakes. They're turning in money for every book they get, giving money away to any cause. Just a lack of judgment. Their familiar tasks at home that you used to be able to do. Some things like that. It's not just the things we might forget, someone's name, for instance, but a continued progression of that.
Yeah,
those are
like you said with your keys, I've heard before that it's not like you say that I forgot my keys, it's that I don't know what to do with them.
Right.
Or I come home from the grocery store and I don't know what food goes in the refrigerator and what food should go in the dry storage.
Right.
So those are some things that families can help to look for. Also, and for about 10 years now, I guess there's been a lot of research done about the sense of smell and Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And I think that they're really finding that the loss of sense of smell may be one of the first indicators of some kind of Alzheimer's disease or dementia process. And I've seen this working in psychiatric care as well. People with other schizophrenia or other more involved that were truly psychiatric illnesses losing that ability as well. And it really makes sense because people with Alzheimer's disease, sometimes they don't want to take a bath, they can't smell themselves, they eat rotten food, they can't tell that that's bad. So it's really making a lot of sense that that might be one of the early indicators.
Well, I like your perfume today, so apparently my sense
yours
of smell
was
is
good.
intact.
Jim's safe. Jim's safe.
Yeah, you're intact, or I'm intact.
It is so interesting about the shower, though. You know, as we get older in our age, we lose some of the fat content, and so showers can hurt. Some of our elderly folks, and because they don't have that protection that they once had, and so that water can be extremely hot, which might feel really good to us. And so those are some things, those are some things to look at when you have a loved one that has dementia or Alzheimer's. Is the water, and really testing the water out and letting them feel the water. Or maybe even putting a towel around their shoulders to protect them when they take a shower.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Of course, a lot of this stuff 30 years ago we didn't know.
Right.
And it's amazing that hardening of the arteries was what they called it when I was young, and it was often talked about. Well, my grandmother, my mother would say, had hardening of the arteries. That was what they thought was going on at that time. And as we have moved along, we have found out more and more. We are finding out a few things that seem to help with Alzheimer's, aren't we?
Well, there's not anything to prevent it, but just like how you do everything to prevent heart disease, it's the same thing. Don't smoke, exercise, get healthy, eat the right foods, as we're talking about Get Healthy Talladega County. Reading is great, playing games and socializing. I said exercising, but all of those things to prevent heart disease are the things that we should to take care of our complete body, which includes our brains, staying active. And then so with dementia or depression or any of these things, so many times, family members are in denial and want to sweep it under the rug and, just try to cover up what mom or dad or grandmother is doing. And the thing is to get help.
As if it's something to be ashamed of.
Right, exactly. And one of the things that they teach now is, if someone has been diagnosed with dementia, they are 100% excused. You don't argue with them, you don't correct them, and you don't confront them because that, it's real to them. Yeah. It's real to them. Yeah. And so if trying to reorient them is just going to make them angry and upset and anxious. And we don't have to be right. We can go to their side of the highway and come back, but they can't stay on our side of the highway.
So you have community education. What programs are involved in that? Do you have support groups or caregiver learning opportunities?
We do. One of the things, and I'll tell you, our unit at the hospital, we have 15 beds. So it's a very small unit. It is secured because with Alzheimer's or dementia, you do have people that wander. And so for safety and protection, it is a locked unit and secure. But we do have support groups for family members. They do not have to be on the unit. Their loved one does not have to be seeking treatment at that time. But it's for anybody and everybody that is taking care of a loved one. It's on the second Wednesday of every month at 11 o'clock in our chapel at the hospital. And our chaplain, Glenn Winter, is there, as well as our social worker and therapist, Lauren Amaker. She is currently a graduate level licensed social worker. She's actually about to finish up everything to be a licensed clinical social worker. We have our program director, Luana Webb, and together the three of them work with families, and it's just wonderful to have that support, because it's, as you know, it is an emotional roller coaster when you have a family member with that diagnosis of dementia. So we're there to support, access resources, and if they, if a loved one does need to come to the unit, which is it's a acute crisis unit, we're there to treat.
And when you say acute crisis, what is the acute crisis that occurs with dementia?
It is combativeness.
Okay.
You have a family member that's combative. They could be threatening to hurt themselves or others. It could be they're wandering off, and just because they have Alzheimer's is not a reason to come to the hospital, but it is those behaviors that go along with it. And so our psychiatrist is Dr. Chili. We have a great staff we have a social worker, an activities therapist, nurses, and a whole team, nursing assistants that work together to treat the patient and the family and help provide them support as well. It takes a whole team, and you have caregivers that try to take it on.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about maybe some strategies that caregivers can look at to help their loved ones, and when they need to involve you all at Coosa Valley. So we'll be right back.
The greatest threat to law enforcement isn't criminals, it's drivers. Roadside crashes are the #1 cause of death for police and state troopers. And not just them. Tow truck drivers, maintenance workers, risking their lives every day. Alabama's Move Over law requires you to safely move over when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't move over, slow down. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Toyota of Sylacauga is celebrating the #1 for everyone sales event all month long.
See why 2015 was a record-breaking year for us at Toyota of Sylacauga, and why 2016 will be even better. Right now, take your choice. Get a giant $3,500 off on 2016 Toyota Corolla, or $3,500 off the 2016 Toyota RAV4.
It's the #1 for everyone sales event at Toyota of Sylacauga. Check us out online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com. Get ready to smile.
Camping World, the #1 RV and camping expert, would like to introduce you to a whole new world. Say hello to new thrills. Get to know your crew. Moments become great memories. Take a new look. Enjoy freedom. Discover amazing. Say hello to a whole new world. Visit campingworld.com.
In central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
right, we're back with Nancy Dixon from Coosa Valley Medical Center talking about Alzheimer's disease and dementia, and also their senior behavioral unit at Coosa Valley. So welcome back, Nancy.
Thank you.
Tell us how many people in the state of Alabama are facing a dementia or Alzheimer's disease diagnosis?
Currently, with the statistics, and I've got these statistics from the Alabama ALS website, but we have about 12,000 in Alabama alone, and the statistics are increasing with Alzheimer's. By 2020, it's supposed to increase by over 10%.
What is that? What's the reason for that? What's the reason for the increase?
Well, don't know exactly. I mean, a lot of people say that, it's from we are living longer. That's one of the things, but we're unhealthy as well. I know that we are taking great strides across the country to try and improve our health, but there's nothing to prevent it at this time, Alzheimer's.
Now, those statistics are specifically for Alzheimer's disease?
Yes, these are specific to Alzheimer's disease. So dementia as a whole is a whole lot more. And 1 in 3 seniors die of Alzheimer's.
Wow,
1 in 3, and the majority of those are women that have Alzheimer's as well. So there are some pretty staggering statistics. Now with our unit alone, the facility opened in 2008, and we've had over 2,000 patients on the unit, over 4,000 referrals for families.
Now these are distinct students, not readmittance.
Well, over 2,000 patients. Actually, about 200 of those are readmissions.
Okay.
But but there are some.
That's staggering.
It is, and the more. More and more people, I guess there's a lot of education out there. People are calling more than they were instead of trying to hide it. But if you do have a family member and you're seeing some of these signs that we talked about, the best thing to do is to call to get help. And you can call our unit directly, and I'll give you the number. It's 256-401-4670. And that goes directly into our nurses station when one of the clinical staff is going to take that information. And it might be that they don't need to come to our facility yet. It could be that they need outpatient treatment, and that can prevent or prolong maybe an inpatient stay in the facility.
Now, I keep hearing about medication to slow the progression down. Are y'all involved in that in any way?
Well, Dr. Chili, he is our psychiatrist on the unit, and he's extremely good with working with our seniors. He's a geriatric psychiatrist. So when someone comes to the unit, more than likely they're going to have comorbidities. They're going to have diabetes, or they're going to have hypertension, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, especially in our area. And so he works with all of that. But for someone to come on our unit, the main reason is going to be because of those behaviors. So with medications, they can treat the behaviors that go. There's the medication is not going to slow the process down, but it will treat those
particular aspects of the behavior, the combativeness,
and try to improve the quality of life
to
get them stabilized to the best that they can be at that point. Because again, we're talking about a brain disease when we're talking about dementia, or a disease, mental processes that's breaking down our brains.
Well, I think it would be important if people are having any questions about this to call, because you don't need to automatically assume that it is Alzheimer's disease.
Right, exactly.
Because there could be something that could be treatable, like a chronic depression that might be exhibiting symptoms of memory loss or some of these other behaviors that you're talking about, but may be totally treatable.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because when someone comes to our unit, when they come up to the unit, they are going to go through the emergency room to get a good medical workup because there are times that potassium levels, vitamin deficiencies,
some toxicity from something else, some other process that's going on.
Exactly, or a urinary tract infection.
Exactly.
And if that can be treated medically, and then those behaviors can be subsided, then you wouldn't have to come up to the behavioral unit and get treatment for that when it's something medical causing it.
Any particular additional factors to put someone at risk? We've got the age. We've got some of these other behaviors that people smoking. You mentioned, how about addiction? Are you seeing more and more people who are suffering from addiction that are maybe showing these symptoms earlier or something?
I can't speak specifically to that. I'm not a doctor or a nurse. I'm not one of the clinical staff members, but I will tell you that we have had people on our unit in our facility with alcohol-induced dementia that have had prolonged cocaine abuse. So you are seeing that because you think about, it's affecting your brain.
Yes.
So, and I think we're going to see more and more of that.
Having worked in the addiction field, there's a thing called wet brain that we used to talk about, which I'm not even sure is a real medical condition. But what it manifested itself in is a lot of the symptoms that we would think of associated with dementia. So I can see that with the chronic alcoholic particularly, that over years and years and years they get to a point where they lose that ability to function.
Yeah. And if you do have a loved one going through any of this, please call. You will see sometimes a husband and wife covering up for each other, and because they have, it's a routine. And but call and if we cannot help you at our facility, maybe the patient is too young.
I wanted to ask that. What age are you looking at?
65 and above is going to be one of our criteria. However, 55 is as young as we can admit to our facility. However, there are adult units, and we can help place your loved one in an adult facility. Our psychiatrist, Dr. Chili, he has admitting privileges to an adult unit, so that works very well, and we're able to help patients in our community that way, which is a great benefit. And Dr. Chili has outpatient. He has an outpatient clinic in Sylacauga, in the professional building, actually within the Craddock Clinic. It's on the second floor. He is there and has clinic every Thursday. And that number for the outpatient clinic is 256-284, I want to make sure I get this number right, 284-4599. And he can see patients 18 and above at his outpatient clinic. So that's a really good resource that I'm so thankful that we have. When we first opened the unit, we did not have, he did not have an outpatient clinic, and we really needed that continuity of care, and he agreed. And so he's had the outpatient clinic for maybe 6 years now. So we're very fortunate to have that in Sylacauga as well.
Yeah, right here in our backyard, to have that type of in-depth opportunity for treatment and access to evaluation, I think is so important. And one of the aspects, and we're about out of time, but I know that Robin Williams has been, his death was in the news about this time last year probably, and people thought that his suicide was caused by just depression, but really he had Lewy body dementia. And that's something that many people don't know, that the highest rate of suicide per person is in adult men 65 and older. And that's just so surprising. So people who are dealing with these types of problems need to call you, need to call Coosa Valley. And let me give you the number again. It's 256-401-4599. 4670 if you have a family member who's dealing with dementia or any kind of mental health problems that you can help them with that. And also the outpatient clinic at 256-284-4599 to seek that treatment as well. We've had a great day today on Get Healthy Talladega County. We thank you for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Get Healthy Talladega County show.